What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Saturday, February 8th, 2025, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now it is 13:10 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from Finland. So, yesterday evening, apparently a Russian state aircraft flew into Finland's airspace for several minutes. This was reported by the Finnish Ministry of Defense. The Minister of Defense, Antti Hakanen, stated that the matter is being taken seriously, and the Foreign Ministry of Finland contacted the Embassy of Russia in Helsinki and requested an explanation regarding the suspected violation of the airspace. So this is very, very serious, guys. Several minutes, okay? And this is the area of Finland where the Russian state aircraft flew into, okay? It was near this island here, or peninsula, Hanko, in the Gulf of Finland, okay? So this is clearly Russia testing Finland, testing NATO. This is not an accident. This was not by mistake. Okay, you don't just fly into another country for several minutes not knowing that you're flying into that country, especially if they happen to be your enemy. Okay, so this was clearly done on purpose. And yesterday evening, we had a flurry of emergency action messages, which are nuclear attack options broadcasted by U.S. Strategic Command right around the same time when this news initially broke. Okay, we had like over 20 nuclear codes transmitted to our nuclear armed subs and our bomber force during this incident. Okay, so this is very, very serious, guys. And also, we had some very, very unusual reconnaissance along the Texas-Mexico border yesterday evening. What's very interesting is we had two strategic level recon planes fly down to the border. One of them was an RC-135 that took off from Offutt Air Base in Omaha, Nebraska, which is home of Strategic Command. Okay, if they're deploying an RC-135 from Offutt Air Base, that means something is of strategic level of importance. Okay, so this RC-135 rivet joint, it's a recon plane with side-looking radars and scanners, was flying back and forth along the Texas-Mexico border, the western part of Texas, looking into Chihuahua and Sonora. Okay, and remember last week they sent the same reconnaissance plane out here to the Baja California area. It flew by Sinaloa, which is where the very dangerous Sinaloan cartel is located. It flew into the Gulf of California, did a couple of loops here, and then left, and that one was also out of Offutt Air Base. Okay, so the Trump administration is using strategic level assets to monitor this part of Mexico here, which could mean that they're getting ready to do some kind of military operations in Mexico to deal with these cartels. Also, there was a combat scent plane that was also flying along the Texas-Mexico border at the same time. Now, why is that significant? Because the U.S. Air Force only has 2 combat sentinels in their entire inventory, and they're used to send intelligence directly to the president and the top generals. So if one of these is airborne somewhere, it means something very serious is going on that they want the president to have a closer look at, or the president himself wants a closer look. Okay, only 2 of these in the Air Force, and they send intelligence directly to the president and the Joint Chiefs, the decision makers. Okay. Also, we had a P-8 Poseidon sub hunter that took off from Jacksonville and was flying along the Texas-Mexico border down here by Corpus Christi, which is very unusual. I've actually never seen that. Okay, P-8 Poseidons are used to detect submarines, so it's very strange for them to use one over land. Okay, so this could mean that the Trump administration is considering some kind of military action in northern Mexico to take out these cartels. And just a few days ago, Pete Hegseth and the border czar Tom Homan had a press conference at the border, and Pete Hegseth said no options have been ruled out. He was asked by a reporter if they were going to go into Mexico to take out the cartels, and he confirmed that all options are on the table. And then Tom Homan added that it would be a big service to the Mexican people and the American people if they got rid of the cartels. Okay, so they kind of hinted that they're considering this, but you can just see based on these flights here that they're considering striking the cartels. And Trump said that he would announce reciprocal tariffs on many countries next week. And the Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said the U.S. and Russia have not yet started discussing a possible meeting between Trump and Putin. Okay, so no meeting planned between Trump and Putin. And Trump said that he would meet with the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, next week. Trump said at the same time, look at Ukraine. Many cities have been reduced to ruins. It's very sad, beautiful golden domes, but most importantly, all these beautiful people who died. And Zelensky is pushing for a deal with the U.S. that would grant American companies access to Ukraine's vast reserves of rare earth minerals in exchange for continued financial and military support. During an interview with Reuters on February 7th, Zelensky examined a once classified map detailing the country's mineral wealth, highlighting its strategic importance. He emphasized that any agreement must include security guarantees to prevent future Russian aggression. So, if you don't know what a rare earth mineral is, those are minerals that are used for chips and circuit boards. And Zelensky also said that the coming weeks could be very busy in diplomacy, and we will do everything necessary to make this time effective and productive. We always value cooperation with President Trump. We are also planning meetings and negotiations at the team level. Ukrainian and U.S. teams are already working out the details. A strong and lasting peace should become closer. And there were some powerful kabooms last night in the Kramatorsk region of Ukraine. According to local residents, 3 loud kabooms were heard, after which there was a power failure in the area. There were also multiple kabooms heard in the city of Rostov in southern Russia. Looks like Ukraine launched another drone attack. There were also reported drone strikes in Murmansk, all the way up in the Kola Peninsula. Ukraine sent drones all the way up to Murmansk, and it was so bad that the Russians had to introduce temporary restrictions on the operation of the Murmansk airport. Okay, so Ukraine sending drones all the way up to Russia's Northern Fleet base. And Finland introduced legislation to ban property purchases by Russian nationals, citing national security risks. The government submitted the bill to Parliament on February 6th, proposing restrictions on individuals and entities from countries engaged in aggressive wars that pose a potential threat to Finland. The proposed law would prohibit real estate acquisitions by Russian citizens, Russian-owned companies, and other entities under Russian influence. Wow. So, strong move there by Finland, probably a smart move. And the EU foreign policy chief Kaja Kallas confirmed that Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia will permanently disconnect from Russia's power grid today. And on February 9th, synchronization with the European power grid will take place via the Litpol link, a cross-border interconnection between Lithuania and Poland. This is the first time since the 1940s that the Baltics were disconnected from Russia. Huge news there, the Baltics disconnecting from the Russian power grid, and they're going to get their electricity from this one power line that goes through northeastern Poland right through the Suwałki Gap. Okay, so if there were some kind of a war there, all Russia would have to do is launch cruise missiles at that power line, and all the power to the Baltics would be cut. Okay, and I don't know how Kaliningrad is going to get their power now if the Baltics have disconnected. I don't know if Kaliningrad has its own power generation, but this could potentially provoke Putin into invading Lithuania and trying to close the Suwałki Gap. And Ukrainian forces advanced 5 kilometers behind Russian defense lines in the Kursk region, according to the Institute for the Study of War. And here you can see their latest post. You can see the areas where they have advanced. There's a breakthrough here near Malaya Lakhnia, and another breakthrough here near Ulanok. And we're hearing that the Ukrainians are going to be pushing towards Plekovo. Okay, so some small moves here by the Ukrainians, some small advances, nothing groundbreaking by any means, but still it's a small gain. Russia said its forces had seized the key mining town of Toretsk in East Ukraine after months of fighting. Also, the Ukrainians are losing a lot of territory near Pokrovsk. Okay, we have to keep an eye on Pokrovsk, because if the Russians break through over there, there's nothing that's going to stop them from pushing all the way to the Dnieper River, and the Russians have really broken through over there. So Pokrovsk is a very, very important area to watch. And here we have all of the nuclear forces that were airborne yesterday during the time when the Finnish violation occurred, when the Russians flew an airplane into Finnish airspace. And Uzbekistan has transferred to the U.S. 7 Black Hawk helicopters that the Afghan army flew to the Central Asian state while fleeing the Taliban in 2021. And the French Prime Minister Emmanuel Macron has called for a nationwide immigration debate. And Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk said Poland refused to accept migrants into the country because of the large number of Ukrainian migrants due to the war. And Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel has invited U.S. Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson to visit Israel this year. And the commanding officer of U.S. Central Command, General Kurilla, traveled this week to Israel, where he met with the Israeli Chief of Staff Herzi Halevi, the commander of the Israeli Air Force, Major General Tomar Bar, the director of the Israeli Security Agency, Ronen Bar, and the director of Mossad, David Barnea, as well as other senior military and security officials, during which discussions were had regarding the Houthis, Syria, Lebanon, Iranian proxies in Iraq, and also Iran. Also, General Kurilla received updates from American and Israeli officers about the U.S. Army's THAAD battery deployed in southern Israel. And the supreme leader of Iran, the Ayatollah Khamenei, said yesterday that negotiations with the U.S. are useless and will not benefit the country in any way. Okay, so Iran is saying they're not interested in any nuclear talks, any nuclear negotiations. They're going to go full steam ahead with their nuclear program. And like I reported over a week ago, there's 2 satellite launch facilities that are actually missile facilities for ICBMs. Okay, Iran has been using them as basically a cover for their missile facility. Okay, and the Iranians are now trying to figure out how they can supercharge the development of a nuclear weapon if they needed to. So it looks like Trump and Netanyahu are probably going to strike Iran sometime during the Trump presidency. And Trump signed an executive order yesterday directing the Attorney General to review any and all orders, regulations, guidances, plans, international agreements, and other actions of executive departments and agencies to determine if any of them infringe on the Second Amendment. Specifically, the Attorney General will review all presidential and agency actions by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms from January 2021 through January 2025 pertaining to firearms and or firearms licenses. Okay, so huge news, Trump ordering an audit of the ATF and any executive actions that were taken during the Biden administration, a Second Amendment audit of the ATF. And the PlayStation Network has been down since yesterday, over 18 hours, and 10 people were killed and no survivors reported in a plane crash near Nome, Alaska. And I want to remind you guys that Russia tried to launch another Oreshnik missile at Ukraine 2 days ago, but apparently it exploded on Russian soil. Okay, it didn't actually make it. And we also had a ton of emergency action messages right around this time when Russia was trying to launch their second Oreshnik, and there were a ton of air raid alerts over Ukraine. Okay, so clearly Putin is not scared of Trump. He's trying to show Trump that, he can do whatever he wants. If he wants to launch Oreshniks, he will. If he wants to violate NATO's airspace, he will. Okay, this is clearly a big grudge match, battle of the egos between Trump and Putin. Okay. Also, we had a ton of reconnaissance this past week over Poland and the Baltics. Here you can see this NATO AWACS plane that was flying around Kaliningrad earlier in the week. Sub Hunter here making dozens and dozens of loops off the coast of Kaliningrad. And then last night we had 3 Sub Hunters off the coast of Taiwan and the Philippines. So a lot of recon in Asia as well. But major breaking news, Russia violates Finnish airspace. Very, very serious, guys. I know the Super Bowl is tomorrow, but this could potentially spark World War III. Okay, these types of situations are going to be happening more and more. Okay, Putin is not going to stop no matter who is president. So we have to be on high alert. We have to be prepared. Make sure you have everything you need. Make sure you're prepared for a worst case scenario. Check out my nuclear war survival videos. Make sure you have a fallout shelter. Okay. And I might be back later on tonight. If not, I'll see you in the 24/7 live stream. And until the next time, take care. God bless. And don't forget the 3 P's. Prepare, practice, and persevere. Culinary out.